Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Logic Medico. Today's interesting topic is the mechanism of hearing. So what is this mechanism of hearing? We'll see in today's video. Okay, if you are new to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel and press the bell button to get the latest notification of the videos. Kindly watch the full video to understand the entire mechanism. Now, sound waves. These sound waves are the type of mechanical energy. They contain compressions and rarefactions. These sound waves are collected by our pinna or the auricle. These compressions and rarefactions are transmitted. They are conducted towards the middle ear via this canal called as external auditory canal. Please note, the sound energy is a mechanical energy, whereas the brain understands only one information, that is the electrical energy or the nerve impulse. So our ear should be able to convert the sound energy, which is mechanical in nature, into an electrical energy. So that is really interesting. So let's see how that is done. This external auditory canal transmits these compressions and rarefactions of the sound waves towards the middle ear. First, it touches the lateral wall of the middle ear where there is a membrane, and that membrane is called as tympanic membrane. Here's the membrane. Then it will vibrate this malleus, incus and stapes. So first it will move the tympanic membrane back and forth or in and out. Okay, that will set these ossicles into vibration. The ossicles are named as malleus, incus and stapes. Malleus because it resembles the hammer, incus because it resembles anvil, stapes it resembles stirrup. So these ossicles will move back and forth like a pendulum of a clock. Therefore they are oscillating, right? So therefore they are called as ossicles. They are placed inside a cubical chamber called as tympanic cavity. This cubical chamber is called tympanic cavity, in which these ossicles vibrate in and out. So from lateral to medial they are malleus, incus, stapes. This middle ear cavity is ventilated from the nasopharynx by a tube called as eustachian tube, not shown in the diagram, but the air from the eustachian tube reaches the middle ear cavity in order to maintain equal pressure on either side of this membrane called as tympanic membrane. At that time, the tympanic membrane will be in optimum position to vibrate. That is a function of eustachian tube. Now this tympanic cavity has a very important function, and that function is called as auditory transformer. You must have heard the word transformer in terms of electric poles, where a high electric tension wire which carries nearly 5000 volts will convert into low energy by means of electrical transformer. Now our middle ear cavity actually acts like a auditory transformer, wherein it amplifies the sound wave before it reaches the inner ear. Otherwise the sound wave is going to die in the middle ear itself. So how is this amplification done by the middle ear? By the transformer action. Let's see this. The surface area of tympanic membrane is 55 millimeter square. Okay, this is m. Okay, millimeter square. The surface area of the footplate of stapes is 3.2 millimeter square. So there is a drastic difference between the surface area of tympanic membrane and that of the surface area of the stapes. So nearly 13.4 times amplification will be there. So this is like a head of the nail, the tympanic membrane, and this is like a tip of the nail. So it's like nailing our ear by the sound waves. So nearly 13.4 times amplification will be there with respect to the surface area itself. Next action is called the lever action of the malleus. The malleus, the red color one, malleus is inclined at an angle with incus. So that it's like this. If someone puts a pressure here, the incus will move upright. So through a lever, it's called lever action of malleus. So if malleus moves once, it makes the incus move 1.3 times. So there is an amplification of 1.3 times. So if you multiply this 13.4 into 1.3, approximately you will get 18 times amplification. So what does this amplification is done by? The ossicles in the middle ear and the surface area difference between the tympanic membrane and the footplate of stapes. Now we are in the middle ear cavity. The stapes moves in and out of the cochlea like a piston. So when it goes in and out of the cochlea like a piston, within the cochlea, so this is the inner ear, okay? This snail-like structure is the cochlea. Behind this one tiny cubical chamber is there, it's called vestibule. Behind the three semicircular canals are there, the anterior, posterior and the lateral semicircular canals. This vestibule helps in static equilibrium, semicircular canal helps in kinetic equilibrium. We are not going to cover those things in this video. In my subsequent video, I will show about the balance pathway. For time being, we limit ourselves to the cochlea. So what happens inside the cochlea? Let's see this. When the stapes goes in and out of the cochlea, there will be ultimately a nerve impulse is generated in a neuron. This nerve impulse is going to reach the auditory cortex of the brain, which is the superior temporal gyrus of the brain. So how is this cochlea, which is a snail-like structure, converts this sound energy, which is still in the form of mechanical energy, into an electrical energy, that is a nerve impulse, which the brain can understand. The auditory cortex, it will reach that information. Okay, let's see this. So when the stapes goes in and out of the cochlea like a piston, it vibrates a liquid within the cochlea. This is called cochlear fluid. Specifically speaking, perilymph, a liquid within the cochlea is called like that, perilymph. When the perilymph is vibrated, a wave is created inside that, right? So when this wave is created, we have something called as organ of Corti, or the receptor for hearing. This organ of Corti has got hair cells. So these hair cells have got cilia. These cilia are embedded within the membrane called as tectorial membrane. What membrane? Tectorial membrane. It's a gelatinous membrane which is there within the upper surface of this columnar epithelial cells called as hair cells. So what this does, the wave which is created within the perilymph first moves the basilar membrane. Once this basilar membrane starts moving, this tectorial membrane also moves in opposite direction like this, okay? So that the hair cells are distorted. The cilia is embedded in the tectorial membrane. The columnar cells are embedded in the basilar membrane. So it creates one force called as shearing force. That is something like tearing force, but it won't tear, but it will pull the cilia. So this vibration of the cilia back and forth will create one impulse, because the potassium ion enters the cell. So whenever potassium ion enters the cell, it results in depolarization of the cell. So when the depolarization happens, then there is a formation of repolarization, ultimately a nerve impulse or action potential. I repeat one more time. When the piston-like action of the stapes, perilymph, a wave is created, okay? So then basilar membrane will vibrate, the organ of Corti is set into motion, tectorial membrane also vibrates, but in opposite directions, so that the cilia is stretched. Once the cilia is stretched, there is a shearing force which is created. This opens up the voltage gated channels, potassium channels. This causes the entry of more of positive charge ion into the cell, potassium ions. This bottom of these cells are connected to neurons. You can see the bottom of these cells are connected to neuron, that is cochlear nerve, okay? So when the potassium enters, it causes depolarization. Later there will be repolarization. Therefore, nerve impulse is formed. The nerve impulse is nothing but action potential. This action potential is carried on towards the brain by one pathway, that is called the neural pathway, that I will cover up in my next video. But one neural pathway will carry this information, a set of neurons. It is not just one neuron which can carry up like this. There will be a group of neurons, okay, and those group of neurons ultimately take the information to the superior temporal gyrus, which is called the auditory cortex, where the sense of hearing is perceived. It's called superior temporal gyrus, okay? It is the auditory cortex where the sense of hearing is perceived. I hope you like this video. This is the mechanism of hearing, where the outer ear, the middle ear and inner ear has its own role in helping. Kindly like this video and kindly subscribe and press the bell button to get the latest notification of the video. Thank you once again for watching this video.